In this video, we continue our Namibian adventure by visiting the incredible Fish River Canyon, and we make our way to the beautiful Namib Desert. You join us as we make our way from the Quiver Tree Forest and head towards our campsite for the night, the Canyon Roadhouse. And as soon as we got there and rolled into the reception area, we were just totally amazed by all the classic cars dotted around, and the overall look was just incredible. So we've arrived at the Canyon Roadhouse, which is our next campsite, and this place is spectacular. Really interesting place. We're chilling by the pool at the moment, cooling off, and yeah, we just sort of had a spot of lunch here, which was nice. But yeah, this place, I was kind of quite interested to stay here actually, because by some of the photos it looked quite quirky and interesting. And in the main sort of hall area there's lots of old cars, and yeah, has a very much a roadhouse feel to it, which is a nice sort of change of pace actually. And our campsite is really good actually. It's about a 5-minute walk from the pool and the main sort of area. Shower facilities, the toilet facilities all look really good, nice and clean, and yes, it's really nice. Can't ask for much more than this, to be honest. And the drive from the Quiver Tree Forest, I think it took about 2.5 hours, I'd say. It's not too bad. The roads here are pretty much all gravel, but surprisingly they're really smooth, so it's almost like you're driving on tarmac at times. So the plan for the rest of today is we're going to take it a little bit easy for the next couple of hours, and then for sunset we're going to drive to the Fish River Canyon viewpoint. So we'll sort of stay there until sunset time and then make our way back. We spent a little bit more time exploring the grounds before then making our way to Fish River Canyon. So we've arrived at Fish River Canyon, and it's spectacular. According to some sources, second largest canyon in the world. Certainly the largest in Africa anyway. So we've come here in the late afternoon. Probably going to stick around for sunset. You get some nice golden light in the canyon. There's a few different viewpoints that you can go to, and you can drive between them. What I would say is it's quite tricky to show the scale of it through video and photo. It's kind of one of those things you have to see to really appreciate how big it is. From my research, it seemed like Fish River Canyon is often overlooked as a destination to visit, but I've got to say we had a really good time here. With the sun setting, we made our way back to camp. After getting back, we had a drink at the bar and enjoyed the atmosphere. Good morning everyone. We've just woken up at our campsite. As you might be able to tell, a little bit cloudy this morning. Certainly wasn't expecting this, and I decided not to go out for sunrise this morning. I figured it would probably be about an hour drive there and back to Fish River Canyon, and we've got quite a long day of driving as it is, so I didn't really want to add to that really. And I kind of felt like sunset is probably a better time for that location, so decided to just take it easy, catch up on some sleep. So we've got quite a long drive today. It should be about 6 to 7 hours. Sort of hard to tell on the gravel roads, but that's quite a conservative estimate, shall we say. And we are going to stop off at a nearby town just to restock on our supplies, because we'll definitely need it for the next sort of four days, I suppose, as we head into Sossusvlei. And yeah, we're stopping off at quite a small campsite tonight. It's about an hour and a half away from Surreal, which is sort of the gateway to Sossusvlei, and it looks quite a good campsite. One thing you'll often see driving in Namibia are the road graders, which can sometimes mean smoother roads ahead. At this point in the drive, it felt very remote, and we went long periods without seeing another car. We then arrived at our destination and met with the landowner of the campsite, who then led us to the camping area. And to be honest, we weren't quite expecting to go as far into the wilderness as we did, but we certainly enjoyed the ride. And then we arrived at the campsite, which was such an amazing location. We had all the facilities we needed, including a hot shower, which, considering how remote this place is quite impressive. After setting up the tent, we explored the surrounding area and continued exploring until sunset. And this place is spectacular, such an epic landscape. This is really what I wanted to see here in Namibia. After another incredible morning, we then made the relatively short journey to Surreal, and this stretch of road was probably the most picturesque of the whole trip. It was beautiful. Along the way, we also saw a reminder of just how dangerous these roads can be. This crash must have happened very recently, as the oil on the ground was still fresh. As we saw the wreck in the distance, we didn't actually know if it just happened, so we quickly rushed to help just as some fellow tourists arrived from the opposite direction, but it seemed like they were picked up earlier. Shortly after, we arrived at our destination. Alright, so we've arrived at our next lodging, and it is a lodging this time, it's not a campsite. This is the Sossusvlei Lodge here in Sossusvlei, and it's really special to stay here actually because we're actually in the national park. We've got here about midday, so we're just sort of chilling out at the moment, and it feels quite weird to actually be inside. I think for the last 4 or 5 days we've been just outside all the time, so it's quite weird to have things like a mirror and a bed that's already set up, but yeah, it's really nice here, so we're just taking the time to enjoy the room and enjoy the nice kind of decking that we've got. So I really wanted to come here because it gives you great access to the park at sunrise and sunset. So I suppose there's one thing you need to know about coming to Sossusvlei, particularly if you're a photographer, is there are 2 gates at the entrance. There's the main gate and then there's the inner gate. The main gate opens at sunrise and then closes at sunset. The inner gate opens 1 hour before sunrise and closes 1 hour after sunset. And with the main sites being about an hour drive into the park, you can sort of quickly work out that if you're staying outside of the main gate, you're not going to be in the good areas at the good sort of times in the day. So there are a few places to stay between the 2 gates. One of them is Surreal campsite, and we'll actually be staying there after tonight for 2 nights. So staying there will also give us pretty good access to the park. But the Sossusvlei Lodge, where we are at the moment, is actually beyond the inner gate. So we're not under too much pressure to get back in time before the gate shuts. But of course that doesn't mean that you can stay out all night. You do still have to be back here at a certain time, and you can only leave at a certain time. So yeah, that's just a little overview of sort of logistics here in Sossusvlei, and later on we'll be heading to Deadvlei for sunset. And Deadvlei is probably one of the places I was most looking forward to here in Namibia. But yeah, really excited. We then made the drive out to Deadvlei, and the last stretch of the journey actually involves a bumpy off-road sand track, which only added to the adventure. After a short walk across the sand, and as we got to the top of the small dune, we eventually saw Deadvlei, and this was a really special moment. Deadvlei translates to dead marsh, and over 1,000 years ago, this area was much more luscious, with a river flowing through, allowing camel thorn trees to grow. Due to a massive shift in the climate and the movement of sand dunes, the river's flow was blocked, cutting off the water supply. Though the trees are no longer alive, the arid environment has beautifully preserved them, creating an extraordinary and timeless landscape in the clay pan. Deadvlei is truly one of the most unique and captivating places in the world. Alright, so we've made it to Deadvlei, and what a place. This is absolutely incredible. I don't think I've ever been anywhere like it. You walk around here and you can't quite believe it's real. It's like being in a Salvador Dali painting. Just spectacular. The contrast with the dunes and the sky and the white pan, it just It is beautiful. And it's not the easiest place to get to. The last stretch is a 4x4 sand track, and yeah, I got my heart going a little bit, to be honest. Didn't really get into any difficulty, but yeah, there's always the fear of getting stuck. But I think now I've done it the one time, I'll be a little bit more comfortable going back in the next few times that we come. The tips that I read up on for that track is obviously put your vehicle into 4-wheel drive, air down the tyres a little bit, and just sort of stay in the tracks of previous cars, and also don't stop, and always just keep the momentum going. So I just sort of had those few things in the back of my mind, but it's always easier said than done. There's a few sort of deep sand sections that you sort of feel like the car is sort of struggling a bit, but I think as long as you keep that momentum, you know, you're fine. What a reward for doing that though, and getting here. Absolutely spectacular. I've been wanting to come here for years and years, and to actually be here after all that time is quite surreal. It's one thing to see these images on a screen, but to actually come here and see it for yourself is another thing, you know. It's totally rewarding. In the next episode, the adventure continues as we explore more of the incredible Sossusvlei landscape and make our way to the peaks of Spitskold. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully see you in the next one.